What's up, guys? It is I, RGT85. Hope everyone is having a great day, but there are a couple topics happening right now that I definitely want to talk about. I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch OLED model once again. We got our first hands-on preview from this system, and there's some very interesting things happening with it, especially with the OLED screen. But first, I want to talk about some retro games that are selling for ridiculous prices, and I just have to question what's happening within the retro game market. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, be sure to like and share the video. Without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games, and we're going to start things off in the world of retro video games, because retro collecting is something that, I don't know, I've heard that for like the past decade plus it's going to implode, all these prices are going to start crashing, none of these games will be worth anything, but it seems like the complete opposite is happening with that. You have your NES games, your SNES games, they're holding strong. You have new systems coming into the foray, like the PS2 and the GameCube now reaching astronomical prices, and of course, the pandemic last year, I think actually helped retro game prices stay high and get even higher because people were bored at home, so they were buying games. But there is a subculture of the retro game collecting scene that I've never really understood, and that's the whole grading subculture, where you have these games get graded and then you give them an astronomical value. Maybe they're in great condition, maybe they're a sealed copy of a game. Well, two sealed copies of games have recently sold. Actually, one has sold and one is currently on the market right now getting astronomical prices, and I'm not a wallet watcher. I don't care what anyone does with their money, but I do have to sort of question people's sanity when they are paying these prices. So the first game we're going to talk about is The Legend of Zelda on the NES. A sealed copy of The Legend of Zelda for the NES just sold for $870,000. $870,000! Like, what? What? We're talking nearly $1 million for a copy of The Legend of Zelda on the NES? What made it worth this much? Well, this was a variant that was only produced for a few months in late 1987 and then was replaced by another variant in 1988, making it somewhat rare. Heritage Auctions is, of course, the auction company that really handles all this stuff. They felt like this was the only one out there in the world that would have this sort of rating with it. WADA gave it a 9.0 out of a scale of 1 to 10 with an A sealed rating, and it's just like, okay, you know, The Legend of Zelda, classic game, and, you know, had that great little Legend of Zelda rap commercial with it, which was really cool as well, but $870,000, no, like, who has this sort of money to just sort of throw it at The Legend of Zelda for the NES? Like, I can't fathom that. I cannot fathom that. It absolutely blows my mind. And of course, the person who bought it remains anonymous, as they do with all these heritage auctions. It could be a group of people, but it's just like, why? Like, why do we rate and grade these games and then give it an astronomical price point to the point of where some idiot's gonna see this article online and be like, oh, I have a copy of The Legend of Zelda, maybe my copy's worth $100,000. I mean, it's open, but hey, you know, it's in good condition. Like, things like this just absolutely ruin retro gaming, in my opinion, when it comes to the collecting side of things, because people see these huge price points that these games are selling at, and then they think that that's what their game is worth, even though it's all chipped up and maybe not even complete in the box. Now, there's another game that's selling very well right now, and this is actually currently happening at the time of the filming of this video, and that is a copy of Super Mario 64 that is sealed. And this game is selling for over $100,000. The current bid right now is $115,000, and like, yeah, you know, it's a clean copy. It's a 9.8 out of the 10 on the WADA grading scale, but you're not going to be able to play this game. You're just going to sit there and look at it. And it's like, I have some sealed games. I've actually looked into the WADA grading system because I thought to myself, I have a sealed game here. Let's see what this grading process is like. And I looked it up online, and like, it's expensive, and it takes several weeks to several months to actually get your product graded and then sent back to you. And it's just like, well, now it's just going to have some arbitrary number attached to it for a price point. And I don't know, man, it's ridiculous. So if you're in the market for a copy of Super Mario 64 and you don't want to pay $115,000, do not worry, because I have you covered, because right here I have a very special edition of Super Mario 64 for the N64. Now, it's not sealed, but you can actually play this copy. There's a completed save file on here as well, and this was actually owned by the Noah Aranda. Now, if you don't know who Noah Aranda is, you know, that's fine. I don't know who the hell Noah Aranda is either, but, you know, Jesus Christ himself could sign this. Shigeru Miyamoto could sign this copy, and it wouldn't be worth $100,000. So if you're in the market for it, I'll sell to you guys $25K into my PayPal, and you can have this copy of Super Mario 64. But on a serious note, like, this is just ridiculous to me. I don't know who's spending these astronomical amounts to buy these games, but I'm glad you have that much money. I'm glad you're that successful in life to where you can throw nearly $1 million $100 at a copy of Legend of Zelda and over $100,000 at a copy of Super Mario 64, but I ain't about that life. And finally, the Nintendo Switch OLED. I don't know if you heard about this thing or anything like that, but this is a Nintendo Switch revision that is coming out on October 8th. It has a better screen, 7 inches OLED technology, has a better kickstand, and has 64 gigs of onboard memory as opposed to 32 gigs. And really beyond that, as far as we know, that's pretty much the only thing that's going on with this system. Well, IGN managed to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch OLED, and they actually did a preview for it. This was done by Tom Marks over at IGN. They were able to play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on there and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is kind of ironic because really those are two Wii U games essentially that were just brought over to the Nintendo Switch, but they were able to sort of get some impressions on this system and get their hands on it. So I want to highlight one section of the article that I found to be the most interesting that I think people are downplaying with this system. I will have a link to it in the description box down below should you want to read the full article, but it states the following. The strength of the new display, unsurprisingly, becomes even more obvious when turned on, immediately shining bright and clear from pretty much any viewing angle I tried. Honestly, it's not an exaggeration to liken its vibrance to when the Game Boy Advance SP got an updated model with a far brighter screen, making the original Switch look noticeably dimmer if compared directly. Its colors are richer too, and I'm not kidding when I say The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's grassy fields looked almost cartoonishly green viewed side by side. So that's something I feel has been heavily downplayed since the announcement of this thing. People are just saying, oh, well, it's a different screen, you know, no big deal. But it's like, I don't think you quite understand how big of a difference an OLED screen is going to be compared to the standard LCD screen that the Nintendo Switch has right now. Now, obviously, if you don't play your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, this means nothing to you. So there's no reason to want to get this revised Nintendo Switch model. But if you do play your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, this is going to be a very big deal. OLED technology is far superior to LCD technology. Think about this original screen on the PlayStation Vita. That was an OLED screen that went at 544p and it looked absolutely brilliant. It still looks great in the modern era. So now you're taking a 720p screen, a 7-inch 720p screen that's going to look so good with these Nintendo Switch games. Now, obviously, there's still going to be performance issues for select games that do have performance issues. Games like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, it's not going to fix the frame rate or anything like that. But I do think it's interesting that they're likening the brightness changes to that of the Game Boy Advance SP. Now, remember, when the Game Boy Advance SP originally came out, it was the AGS 001 model, which was the standard model that came out, and it was a front lit screen. So while yes, you did have a light, you know, things still looked a bit washed out. But then you had the AGS 101, which was a revised model that came in a couple different colors. There was that cobalt blue, that Killicam pink, like, I don't know, that one's awesome. I kind of want to get one of those low key, even though it's like pink, but it's like, it's the Cameron edition. Like, what are you going to do? But these were backlit screens and they made these games look so much better. Like, it was ridiculous comparing the Game Boy Advance SP, the original model, to the revised model that came out. And I think there's going to be that same sort of difference with the Nintendo Switch. I think some people are really downplaying just how good this OLED screen is going to be. Now, like I said, if you don't play your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, this system is absolutely pointless to you. You don't care about the kickstand. The onboard memory, you probably already bought a micro SD card, but if you are a handheld player, I honestly feel like this is going to be a revision that's worth checking out. Now, obviously, I will be buying one of these on day one, even if I wasn't a handheld player, because I want to check it out and review it with you guys and show you guys the differences. But I'm definitely somewhat excited for the system. Could it have been better? Like, hell yes. There could have been a lot better if we really wanted to get down to the nitty gritty, but I am excited for this OLED screen, and I'm just saying, don't downplay this, because I think it's going to be an actual game changer when it comes to playing your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, and will actually make you want to play your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode more often. Alrighty, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. If you want to pick up Noah Aranda's copy of Super Mario 64, yes, the Noah Aranda, be sure to DM me. 25 grand, like I said, you know, right out the gate. We don't have to do no sort of bidding stuff like that. We will get you your copy of Super Mario 64. And just, what do you think about water grading in general? Because I don't know, I think it's ridiculous, but I know there is a subsect of people that do love it. And the Nintendo Switch OLED. Are you planning on picking this up? Let me know in the comments section down below why you plan on picking it up, or if you are satisfied with your standard Nintendo Switch. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you did enjoy it and you are new to the channel, hit subscribe, like, share, all that stupid YouTube crap. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.